Hey guys, so try to be entertaining about this and not too long-winded. Autism and why we should be concerned about it is because autism is truly taking over our children. If you look in the statistics of autism and how much it's gone up in the last decade or two, it's very scary. Um, Apparently, by 2030, um, we could see it as high as one out of every two kids has autism. And I want everyone to truly hear me out on this because you might not have thought about this. Um, I don't even think it's some huge mind blowing thing. It's interesting, but it does make a lot of sense. But imagine we have a whole society full of autistic people. Like the ones who aren't autistic are truly a rare breed. Okay, like imagine, imagine. Okay, Jews, certain Jews think that every other race is the goyim and they belong as such. They belong on a low totem pole. How can they ensure that? Now, I'm not trying to say it's all the Jews, okay? Not at all. Because there are white people that are literally backstabbing their own kind every day. So this is not some I hate Jew thing. But they got their hands dirty and shit. And all I can think of is a race, a breed of human that is all autistic. Family lines, you know, family trees of autism. Think about the real implications of that. Now, someone that doesn't have autism, who might be naive, can be told, oh, you need to do this and you need to pay for these things, even though they don't, and they'll be manipulated by that. Now, imagine how that would go for an autistic person. They're even at a more disadvantage than you. They don't pick up on social cues. Um, they do not have the capacity as a normal person is, to put it lightly. Now imagine a race of people, family trees of all autistic. Now think about the corporations. Corporations notoriously for a long time have always treated people pretty harshly, used them up, for not much money to better the company. Now imagine that mindset where like, oh, the people they have to choose are a bunch of autists. That's kind of a weird thing to think about, right? Because there's so many people who aren't autistic, right? But you got to imagine, in 10 to 20 years, that's decades of people dying and birthing. Like in 20 years, the amount of people who would have died, right? And then the amount of people who are born, there's going to be so much more autistic people. How can you physically and spiritually control your opponent? By poisoning them and their children to make them autistic, then casting them down on the totem pole of society. So imagine, like, there's this advanced technology we have. Now, only so much of it is actually given out to the citizens. And we should be very, you know, in one way appreciative of the technology that an iPhone gives. I love an iPhone. But then again, it's not all perfect and there's more that goes with it. Um, but think about how advanced our technology is, and we've admitted, this is proven, in Vietnam, we did manipulate the weather. We did alter the weather. We literally caused a rainstorm, like a damn hurricane fucking flood season. We caused that. Okay, that was a while ago. Now there's still a lot of technology we've yet to see. And think about the bankers, the Federal Reserve. Okay, the Federal Reserve is literally it's entirely based off debt. For every dollar given, there's a dollar in debt. It's a debt system. Think about all these people, right? And all the technology and all this stuff we haven't seen. Now think, if they have all this, and damn, autism sure is a problem, it just ain't going away, it's actually getting a lot worse because people are eating artificial foods and people don't acknowledge that food is the vaccine. Food is medicine. Food is medicine. And when they ignore that, then they're just going to be these autistic slaves. They will literally be the goyim that is talked about and prophesized. Is a race of people so dumbed down by the Jews who say that they're going to help them, right? Like in their religion, it's like, one day the Jews will have to save the world and from the goyim. And but see, they make that problem. They have their hands in it just like whites and every other race. Okay, but they have their hands in it too. And why I mention these things is because their religion is like based on this. Their religion is the idea that like they have to, save the world from the goyim, and they are the true, race. They are the true ones, the best of the best. And so how can you manipulate the goyim to where they're just completely physically and spiritually controlled? Um, well, make them all autistic, poison them at every chance you get, and then make them work on the lowest totem poles of society so that you have a great workforce who doesn't, really think for themselves. They just kind of take what they can get because an autistic person is not going to be thinking about, like, am I being manipulated? Am I, being mistreated? Like, it's going to take them much longer to learn those lessons than your normal person. A normal person would be like, wow, maybe I should consider these things because I've been lied to before. An autistic person is going to take a lot longer to truly process that information. You see what I'm saying? So it's like for a group of autistic people to all of a sudden realize one day in 20 years that this whole system is designed for their destruction, then it's going to be so hard for them to actually break out and do something with their abilities because autistic people, yes, they can be gifted in one part, but what's actually very bad is that our social skills are so important, and an autistic person, their main issue is social skills. That's a problem. It's a very hard situation to deal with, to make sense to that person, to get them to understand, to look out for their best interests. And that's designed that way, man. So we all need to start realizing that um, autism and all this shit, it's gonna continually get so bad to where it's literally gonna be, you're gonna be the rare one to not have autism. If your family doesn't have autism, that's gonna be rare. It's gonna be not normal. It would be not normal to have autism, or sorry, to not have it. That's what I was trying to say. It'll be completely normal to have autism in the year of 2030 and 2040. It'll be almost what everyone has. And then the people who don't subject to that, I can't imagine them living in society. You see, because the best thing that they can do, social engineers and people who truly want to rule over people, is to create a class of slaves by the mind and by the soul. You know, it's so much that, just like in North Korea, how they treat those people there. They control them by the mind and the soul. It's the same thing, man. So, yeah, we all need to start really understanding what our future holds for us. It's not looking good. Um, Never, ever send your kids to a public school ever again. They are the place of nightmares and the prison. Um, yeah. So yeah, really do look into that autistic stuff because it's now very alarming more than ever. It's like it's just right in my face. It's like we're all gonna become autistic if you don't like legitimately try to better your health. Because you have that baby, right? You imagine you have a child here in like the next 5 to 10 years. What if that child's autistic? That's not going to be good for me, man. I'm going to be very unhappy about that because it's like the poisoning has gone so far to where it's affected my blood. You see how much of a spiritual warfare this is? If my kid got autism, it's literally like the engineers of our society have poisoned us so well that even my own blood can't escape it. That's what we truly have in store for us. To be truly physically um, physically manipulated by the brain, and then spiritually.